Yep.
Yeah, we are now.
Thank you. Right, okay. Thank you everyone for attending this meeting of the Executive Cabinet virtual meeting. I think we're all long served now on Teams meetings to know how this is going to work, but it will be recorded and the video stream will be uploaded onto YouTube after the meeting. Obviously, use your raise hand function on your iPads if you want to speak. Try and reference documents if you can to make it easy for other people to track where you're referring to. If the technology does fail, I will pause the meeting if required, if sufficient people drop off. And if you're having problems, please email, phone, or message Nina, Ruth, or any of the other officers, and they'll try and get you back on as quickly as possible and let me know that people are dropping off. Hopefully, these kind of introductions won't be necessary for much longer once we start to move out of lockdown, but it may go on for a while yet. So just before we go on to the actual agenda, can I just check that all the Cabinet members can hear me and I can hear them? So in no particular order, just as they're arranged on my iPad. Councillor Morwood. Alistair.
Yes, I can hear you, Chair.
Okay. Councillor Dunn. Graham, can you hear me?
I can indeed, yes.
Thank you. Councillor Murray. Bev.
Yep.
Thank you. Adrian Lowe. Councillor Adrian Lowe.
Evening, Chair.
And the dead on time, no doubt, Councillor Peter Wilson.
Good evening. Good evening.
See, I knew you'd be there once I started. Right, I can see you now. Right, okay, I think that's everybody. Do we have any apologies, Nina, that we've received from anybody for this meeting?
No apologies received, Chair.
Okay, thank you for that. So the first item is the minutes of the meeting dated the 25th of February, which is on pages 5 to 8 of the agenda. Has anybody got any questions, queries or points on those minutes they'd like to raise? Can't see anybody. So can somebody propose that they're taken as a true record, please?
Happy to propose that, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Morwood. Somebody happy to second?
Happy to second.
Thank you, Graham. Anybody against accepting those minutes? I'll take exceptions only. No, in that case, they are carried and endorsed and will be placed on record. Item 2 is any declarations of interest. Has anybody got any specific items of interest they wish to declare before the meeting carries on? No. Okay. And then the third item on our agenda is any public questions. Have we received any public questions, Nina?
No, we've not had any, Chair.
Great, thank you. Okay, so the first substantive item then on the agenda is item 4, which is Councillor Walker, evening John, is the overview and scrutiny task group on sustainable public transport report, reporting back to this cabinet meeting. Are you going to introduce this for us, John?
Yes, thank you. Can I ask the Cabinet to receive the report of the scrutiny task group and accept it for consideration with a view for the Cabinet's recommended response to the recommendations being reported to a future meeting? And can I also thank Councillor Snape and members and officers of this task group in producing such a thorough and excellent report. It was not an easy task that the committee took on, but the final product is a credit to the task group and it is to be commended. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
I think Councillor Snape will probably add a few words to all that.
Do you want to come in there, Kim? Yep.
Sorry,
Kim,
I was just trying to come off mute.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep it brief. I mean, I was just going to say, I think we've, as John has said, we've covered an incredible amount of ground in the last 6 months. We interviewed a number of stakeholders that are noted in the report to get their right insights into some of the issues. We tried to do quite a bit of engagement with the parish councils as well through Chorley Liaison. I think we've all learned a lot from it, both in terms of the officers and the members, particularly some of the stuff that we got back from Stagecoach, Dial-A-Ride, and from Northern Rail as well. I think we would have liked to have had a bit more input from the public, but we did what we could through social media, and those responses are documented in the report. We've also put a recommendation in. We didn't really get time to sort of delve into cycling and to give at the time that we sort of thought it deserved. So we've sort of noted a possible recommendation to look at cycling next year. But I guess really all in all, some of the issues aren't really within our control, nor do we have enforcement over them. But ultimately, we feel that we should still push for these changes. Obviously, those are documented in a variety of different recommendations, and hopefully, in terms of moving forward, we can have more joint working and communication and consultation with us as a council, and work a lot closer with the county councillors, the transport authority, the MP, and the various transport providers in the borough to move some of these things forward. We're also really keen to see the continuation of the green agenda work as well, because a lot of that dovetails with some of the aspects of this task group, and I think that's noted in the report. And thank you to Alison and Matthew for all their work on it as well. And that's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you, John. Thank you, Kim.
Okay.
Questions? I've got Councillor Danny G. Put your hand up, Danny.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I know it's not relevant to the document, but I still think it's important. Just seeing the news earlier on about Greater Manchester, which are on our border, wanting to take back control of their buses. Do you think this would have an impact on us, seeing that as they're our neighbours, and is there any way that we could tap into that? It's just a thought. I think it's an important thing, personally, to step forward, and I would like to see more of it, but I don't know whether it's relevant to us or not. Thank you.
Did anybody from the actual grouping want to comment on that, whether that was borne in mind, or do you want me to comment on that? Kim,
So,
you got your hand raised, go on.
We did look at it, and I think the council has. I think the council has did put a response into the consultation that Greater Manchester ran, but I think it could potentially have a big impact on Chorley if Lancashire doesn't catch up with Greater Manchester, particularly with cheaper tickets and things like that, and if more people go and do shopping at the Reebok and Middlebrook and things like that. I mean, we already see people, because transport in Greater Manchester is cheaper already. We already see people, getting the train from Horwich and Blackrod and so on. And I think it. I mean, it's a positive thing. Don't get me wrong, but it could massively impact us in Chorley if Lancashire doesn't catch up. Thanks.
Okay. My own view, Councillor G, is that we saw Liverpool having a move on this a few years ago. They did a thing about franchises and bringing things back in under more control. Manchester are following that a little bit now. It's easier in a city to have that kind of plan and not make any apologies for Lancashire, because I think we should have a coordinated transport strategy in Lancashire that does what's needed in each of the different parts of Lancashire. We are, as Kim outlined, I think slightly behind the curve on this, and therefore my own view is that we should be working more closely with both Liverpool and Greater Manchester to extend to a northwest regional transport plan. But I was actually in a meeting the other day of Growth Lancashire, where Councillor Green, the county council representative on that committee, and Phil Riley, the representative from Blackburn with Darwin, who have been bemoaning the fact that they have had very little traction at transport for the north meetings and transport for the northwest meetings, and not managed, and maybe lone voices, and they were sort of advocating a greater Lancashire coordinated approach. I think that's the right way to go, and I think we need to buy into that, even if we're only interested in our little bits of Lancashire, because whatever is done on a bigger footing has got to benefit us, because we're slap bang in the middle of all three areas. So I think that's definitely something we need to consider. Councillor Dunn, you've got your hand up. Sorry, Danny, did you want to come back first, Danny? Go on.
Yeah, just very, very quickly. Kim mentioned Liverpool and Manchester. When you think of the three authorities that we got in the northwest, it's Manchester, Liverpool, and Lancashire. The only way, my personal opinion, that this can work, or to the greater benefit to the people of the northwest, is if all three authorities got together and did it, and then it would be a force to reckon with, and it would benefit the people of the northwest. But I think all three authorities need to get together to do this, and I don't, being realistic, I don't think that will happen in the near future. But one never knows. One never knows. Hopefully, one day. Thank you.
Points noted. Councillor Dunn.
We were talking before the meeting started about the LEP Scrutiny Committee meeting. And funnily enough, I did ask the question of the LEP about what they were doing to liaise with other LEPs and to facilitate and advance joined up transport thinking between the three areas to which Danny just referred. And they gave a sort of glowing but imprecise statement of all the people they were keyed into and how tremendous the relationships were between them, which was very encouraging. But I didn't get any story of anything sort of practical and specific that had been done on this front. I don't know whether they can have any impact, but it seems to me if we're serious about what Danny has just said, that we ought to be using all the avenues we can to further the approaches, particularly from our point of view with Greater Manchester.
Okay, thank you, Graham. Kim, wanted to come in on that?
I forgot to add, we did actually invite Greater Manchester to the task group and they refused to engage with us. They said they were only interested in speaking to Lancashire County Council. So I just thought get that on public record.
Okay. And then, so I think we strayed off slightly the actual core thing, which was to accept this report, although obviously those are all related issues and fine for discussion. Thank you for the report. We'll go away now and accept it and consider it and what have you. And obviously, having perused the report we've got back from you, I agree with you. Yes, it is very detailed. Yes, it has got a lot of recommendations, and it's got a lot of recommendations that we don't directly influence. But as Graham's already mentioned, with the LEP scrutiny that's been going on, with changes in the LEP, there's a new chair in train at the minute. There are changes in its constitution. There will be changes at County Council and administration, the same as there will be changes in Chorley shortly. I think it's going to be an interesting period for this document to be considered, dealt with, and help shape our views in Chorley on transport. And a new administration after the May elections will come back with a response formally to Council to of how this report is going to be built into that future plan. So thank you very much for all your efforts. Thank you to the wider team, and we'll be back to you when we've considered it fully, if that's okay. Okay, I'm just looking on my agenda. I think that's all we have to do, don't we? Because it's been proposed and seconded that it's presented. Do we have to take a vote on this, Nina, or not?
I think for now, like you say, just take it away.
Okay, and then we'll come back in due course. Okay, I'm looking around for everybody saying no, we don't do that. That's where we're going with it. Okay. We move on then to Council Item 5. Thank you for the debate on that. Council Item 5, Peter Wilson, the Chorley Council Transformation Strategy.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, so members will note that the transformation strategy is due for renewal. It does say in the report that the last one was from 2016, so of course this is a wholly new dynamic report. Those who can spot the similarities and the changes will get a special prize, but the fundamental strategy is to set out where we go following obviously the budget meeting last month. We made a lot of commitments, particularly around efficiency and around improving productivity, and this is all part of that work. So the transformation strategy is important really because it lays out how we're going to achieve that, but also not just how do we achieve that, but also what do we do to make sure that our customer service remains as very, very good and gets better. It makes sure that we make use of the technology that we have at our disposal, again, to improve services to the customer, i.e. the public, and to improve our own working practices. And it also helps us take opportunities such as the commercial investments and the income generation opportunities, which again we've successfully done. As it says in the report, we've made over £4 million in the last 6 years, either savings or income, and we set that, that target is ambitious for the next year, as we know, another £1.2 million, and then going forward into the medium term. So the strategy does set out again the aims of the council in respect of that, in respect to the medium-term financial strategy, and in terms of how then each directorate aims to focus its effort on improving the service, making those efficiencies and savings, but at the same time delivering on what we've set out in our priorities and our vision. At that point, Chair, I have nothing else to add in this report, apart from to take any questions if there are any.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Any questions on that transformation strategy? No, I think you've knocked and bandy there, Peter, and they are all happy with the proposals as detailed, which are, he says, flicking back to his other agenda, to receive and consider that report. So we basically need to vote. So that's been proposed by Peter. Could somebody second that proposal that we approve the refreshed transformation strategy, please?
Seconded, Chair.
Thank you, Adrian. Any against endorsing that, Cabinet members? Anybody wants to speak against that? No. In that case, we will consider the report approved, and that will move forward as our strategy. Okay, the next item is item 6, which is the exclusion of the public and press. So I will propose that we exclude the public and press if any are on this call. Can I have a seconder for that, please?
Seconded.
Thank you, Peter. Anybody against excluding the public and press? No. In that case, we will consider they are excluded. I think we stop recording at this point. And obviously now